there, it's Tara, she of all things transformational guidance coaching, transformational body work, sound healing, and for our purposes here today, transformational yoga. So I am taking advantage of this amazingly warm November 5th day here in Western New York and recording outside. So if my camera shakes a little, it's because it's a very breezy day, and I hope that you can hear me over that breeze and over my lovely chimes. So today what we're going to work on is we're going to work on a very invigorating practice, a practice for creating a lot of energy and feelings of upliftment. And we're going to do this through a few different avenues. So one of those avenues is going to be that we're going to engender some heart coherence. And then another avenue is that we're going to do poses that bring vibrant energy, specifically backbends. Backbends are known for opening up the front of the body and really bringing the nervous system online with alive, vibrant energy. So what you're going to need for today's practice is one blanket and a couple blocks if you can have them, or maybe a stool or even a chair could work if you don't have blocks. Something that you could put your hands on when we do a couple floor lunges. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing is we're going to recline over a blanket, and we're going to take this blanket open to this shape, and you could use beach towels if you don't have blankets. Big thick beach towels tend to do pretty good, but just don't use any squishy towels. We're going to fold this blanket in thirds so that you get this long strip here, and this top end I'm going to lay it down on the mat, and this top end is going to meet my back here between my shoulder blades. So let me show you what that's going to look like. I sit on the blanket and I kind of drag my tailbone back a little bit so I get some nice traction until I feel that edge of the blanket right there underneath my shoulder blades, kind of mid-thoracic. We would call that probably about T7. Then I'm going to extend my heels out, reaching out through the heels, and the arms can open to a T or a goalpost or a Y shape, whatever feels most comfortable to your body. So that what we're doing is creating a fulcrum here underneath the spine that's lifting the bottom of the chest bone. And did you notice what I just did with my thumbs? I took my thumbs to the top edge of that blanket and traced them to the front. And that blanket edge lines up with the bottom of my chest bone. So I'm really lifting these bottom ribs and the chest bone, widening so that when I breathe, I'm going to feel this opportunity for me to move my breath into the rib cage, widening and lifting the chest bone towards the ceiling, or sky in my case, and also towards the chin. By virtue of the fact that if you have the blanket in the right position under your spine, what's going to happen here is that the shoulder blades will be on the floor and the back of the neck will get long, and you can even assist it by picking the head up and moving the skull back a little bit. And then the chin dips down towards the chest a little bit. So this is a wonderful position for breathing. We're going to take a moment here to breathe. And although I instructed you to have your arms open to a T or a goalpost, would you consider putting one hand on your chest, perhaps at your heart center, your chest bone, or even right over your heart itself, so that you can feel your heartbeat a little bit under one of your hands. And we're going to start to breathe in a pattern that is about a 4 count on your inhale and about a 6 count on your exhale. So I'll help you out. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So try to maintain that pace. In and out. And then while you're breathing in this pace, notice your heartbeat under your hand. And see if you can imagine that you're filtering that breath through your actual heartbeat. In and out. Keep going at this pace. And then from here, see if you can layer in a feeling of upliftment, some kind of feeling, gratitude or joy or appreciation or love or anything that sort of feels good for you to feel in a benevolent way. Think something kind of sweet or, generous feeling. And you're going to layer that feeling in with your breath, keeping that cycle going, that pace, with the awareness of your heart. It's so easy for me because I can hear the birds and the leaves rustling and the chimes, and I feel the sunshine, and it's a glorious morning. So it takes no stretch of imagination for me to feel very grateful to be alive and for this wonderful planet that we are blessed to live on. How about 2 more of these beautiful, wonderful breath cycles? And after your last exhale, you can allow your breath to return to natural. And you're just going to bend the knees, place the feet on the floor, lifting the hips. And you're going to fold this blanket up 1 or 2 rolls so that you get sort of a flat surface that you can set your hips down on, your tailbone specifically. So we want the tailbone to land nice and firmly on a surface. And then you're going to again extend the feet out, reaching out through the heels, if that's okay with your body. And notice that there's an opening in the front of the hips here. Now, if you feel a pinch in your low back, then what I'm going to urge you to do is actually bend the knees, soles of the feet on the floor, widen the feet, and let the knees knock into each other. And we're just going to spend about 1 minute here, so you can keep that breath cycle going, keep the awareness of your heart going, keep the feeling going, but in this position now. So that inhale for about a count of 4. And your exhale for about a count of 6. About 1 more great cycle. when you're ready to be done, you can bend the knees again, press the feet into the floor, lift the hips up, and we're just gonna roll off to our sides and switch to a low lunge. So what I'll have you do now is take your blanket and fold it just so it's like this, so that you can place your knee on it. And this is especially important if you're on a hard surface. If you're on a carpeted surface, you would probably be okay. Now we're gonna take our blocks to the front of the mat. I'm using the ground, so that's okay. And we're going to stand between the blocks in Tadasana, feet parallel. Open the arms, back of the arms enliven a little bit. Let's stand up nice and tall, and we're gonna inhale, raise the arms, arc the back so that you feel that stretch in the front of the body, and then exhale, fold by drawing your sit bones back behind you, which creates a drop through your skull. So a couple breaths here. In this forward fold, you can let the arms dangle, shake out the head. Feel the sit bones moving up and back, and have enough bend in your own knees that your belly touches your thighs a little bit. And after about 3 breaths, hands can come to your blocks, and you're going to bring your left leg back so that the left knee comes onto the blanket, and the right knee is essentially lined up over that right ankle. We're just going to walk the hands far enough back that the wrists are basically underneath the shoulders, and then you can tuck your left toes and press that left heel back. So notice that my collarbones are wide, so I'm using my back muscles a little bit here, and I'm going to start to walk the hands back a little bit more, so I start to lift up through the top of the head. And as I'm pressing back through my left heel, I'm feeling this left thigh bone move back. And then I'm going to start to feel the right thigh bone move forward a little bit. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just a feeling from inside the body. And then if the balance is good, you can raise your arms up. Good. And lift the chest a bit. Good. And then come back. And move the bricks forward so they kind of line up more with the ankle. Take a nice deep breath, exhale, and press your left heel back so the left knee raises. Try not to raise the hips. We're just going to press that left heel back, raising the knee, staying nice and wide through the collarbones, feeling that big opening. Good. And then from here, exhale, step your left foot forward into your forward fold with that generous bend in your knees, whatever that means for your own body. Deep breath, exhale, and then let's bring the right leg back, hands to the bricks, right knee on the blanket, left knee generally lined up over your left ankle, and tuck those right toes. So when you tuck the right toes, you start to wake up the front of this right hip a little bit more. We'll walk the blocks back a little bit, popping up through the top of the head. And I'm going to feel that dynamic energy of the 2 thigh bones moving in different directions. So you can establish this lift up through the chest, and then you can inhale, raising the arms, or at least your right arm. If the balance is iffy, you can still keep the left hand on the brick, but raise the right arm or both arms. Bring a little arc to that center of the back, and coming back. Good. Okay, so move the bricks a little forward. Make sure you're grabbing the floor with your right toes. Exhale, press the right heel back, lifting the right knee. Do your best not to lift the hips too much, but press that right heel back. Big opening in the front of the right hip. Couple breaths. And step forward with the right foot, drop into your forward fold. Inhale, let's bring our elbows towards our waist. Lift the chest, Use the back muscles, press the feet down, inhale the arms up and arc back. Exhale, sweep the arms down. Good. Okay, so now we're going to use our mat lengthwise. Again, if you're on a very hard surface, you might use the blanket underneath you. You can push your blocks to the side, and I'm just going to have the blanket a little bit under me for some padding since I'm on a hard porch. And we'll just come on down to our bellies. I'm just always going to move my thighs back a little bit when I come onto my belly, my rib cage forward. And then we're going to have these elbows underneath our shoulders. Press the hips down. And in this little mini baby cobra sphinx kind of pose, you're going to pull the mat a bit towards you. So I'm widening the collarbones as I do this. And then exhale and rest the head down, and you can windshield wiper your heels side to side. Moving the hips, rocking the hips, moving the spine a little bit. Good. And then this time, bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. Notice I'm going to keep my elbows tight to my rib cage. I'm going to press my hips down, firm up the legs, and inhale, exhale, lift up through the chest. Collarbones are going to stay nice and wide. And it's tempting to really press forward with the hands, but I'm going to try to pull back. If you feel a pinch in your low back, let yourself ease down a little bit. Let's try to keep the neck nice and long, not create hyperextension in the back of the skull, but keep it nice and long. I should feel a stretch in my belly from the belly button to the rib cage. And then pull the hands on the mat to return down. And rest. And again, breathe into your back. You can windshield wiper those legs, those heels, those hips. Okay, so then this time, let's bring the arms behind us. And if you can clasp hands, clasp hands. If not, you can have the hands with a couple inches between them. But let's keep the elbows in extension so that we're not allowing the arms to bend. And then as the chest and arms go up, we can lift the legs. Good. Shalambhasana pose. Now, quietly release the hands, keeping the arms lifting. Pinky edge of the arms towards the sky. And then release. Rest. Take a few breaths. Drop down. Okay, and then from here, grabbing the ankles, we're going to take a nice deep breath. And we're just going to keep the chest down. We're not going to try to lift the chest or legs. We're just going to draw the heels towards the hips. So we're stretching the front of the thighs and the hips a little bit. And then release. And come up, and we're going to give ourselves a prop here. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a little roll for your hips with this blanket. So I'm going to fold it from this shape kind of in thirds. So I've got sort of a thick roll or pad, and I'm just going to place this underneath my hips. You can make this even thicker if you need to. So with this under my hips, if I take my elbows out from under me, all of a sudden my chest and head are very heavy to the floor. So what we're going to do here is we're going to reach back for the ankles, Take a deep breath, exhale, lift the legs using the butt muscles, but this little roll is going to help us. Draw the shoulder blades together. So even though you can't lift the chest, you can still use the back muscles. And you can see how high up the legs are inclined to go with this fulcrum under the hips. And then release. Take a breath. And we're going to move this to go under the chest. So you just slide it up. It's not really under the chest. It's actually in that space between the belly button and the rib cage. So this is going to pop the chest up, but cause the legs to be heavy down. So in this case, when you reach back for the legs, the thighs won't come up, but you can really lift the chest. And again, I'm using my leg muscles, pulling the shins back. I'm drawing the shoulder blades together. Good. Big opening in the front of the body. And then release and come out. Rest the forehead down. You can take that blanket out from under you now if you are on that hard surface. Roll it out again under you for padding. And if you want to try the pose in full, reach back for the ankles. Take a nice deep breath. Exhale. Lift up. Head, chest, thighs, all together using the back muscles of your gluteal, your back between your shoulder blades, drawing the shins away, back behind you. Good. And release and rest. So in your timing, when you're ready, you can roll onto your back. And when you roll onto your back, if you have a blanket under you, take that away. You won't need it. So now we're going to segue into bridge pose. But before we go into bridge pose, you can hug your knees into your chest. Wow, that November sun is strong. Rock side to side a little bit. Move the ankles if you want. Let the head rock back and forth a little. Just have some free, intuitive movement. I'm looking up at the tree branches and they're kind of moving the same way I'm moving. Okay, and then let's release the legs down to the floor. Keep the knees bent. Land the feet gently on the floor. Widen the feet so they're almost as wide as your mat. Heels a little bit farther out so the big toes are slightly coming in and the knees are slightly coming in. So from this position, you can bring your arms beside you and tuck those shoulder blades together so that you feel your chest bone already start to lift. You feel your spine lifting off the floor. We're going to take a nice deep breath. Exhale. Use your belly muscles to draw the spine to the floor. Press your feet into the floor. Lift about halfway up, and then about halfway up, tuck those shoulder blades. Tuck, 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 tuck. You can clasp hands if you want. And you're going to lift up using your gluteal muscles, back muscles, pressing your feet down into the floor. Try not to let your knees flare open. And then if this is no problem for you and you want to go one step farther, separate the hands, bring the hands underneath the shoulders, fingertips pointed down towards the heels. Try to keep the elbows lined up with the shoulders. Try not to let them flare open. And we're going to come into full wheel. So you can always stop the video, watch, and then go ahead and do it. So to come into full wheel, I'm going to take a nice deep breath. I'm going to exhale, push my hands into the mat, slide my head towards my feet, and then lift up. I lifted my heels a little, come up, but now I'm going to land the heels back down and move my chest in the direction of my arms. After several breaths, when you're ready to come down, try to keep the elbows lined up with the wrists and the shoulders. Land the head back down where it came from. You're back in your half bridge, and you're going to roll your spine down one vertebrae at a time. Once the spine is fully down, you can bring the legs in towards the chest, and let's just give a good squeeze. Hug the legs in towards the armpits, actually. Roll the ankles a little bit. Let's extend the left leg down the mat. Hug the right leg in. Nice deep breath. Extend the right leg up and lift your head towards your kneecap. So you're using a little bit of your abdominal strength here. If you have to hold the leg behind the shin or behind the thigh, that's fine. The idea here is just that you're closing that space in the front of the body a little bit. So we're counterposing the back bends with some abdominal toning. Come back to holding both knees in. And extend the right leg down the mat. Straighten that left leg. Lift the body towards the left leg. Lift the head and chest. Come back to having both knees into the chest again. We're going to extend the left leg down the mat, and then you're going to just lower the right foot to the mat, swish your hips over to the right side of your mat, and cross the right leg over to the left. Ooh, I've got some sun on my face. It is almost 80 degrees here in Western New York on November 5th. Wow. So we're going to take a couple great breaths in this spinal twist. And in your spinal twist, bring your right hand to your tailbone and just feel that your tailbone is mostly perpendicular to the floor. And then press your head into the floor and pick up your left upper back and shoulder and move that out to the left a little so you get excellent spread across your back. Couple deep breaths here. You can always return to that heart coherence rhythm. And then unwind. Come back, square off the hips. We'll keep the left knee bent, extend the right leg, swish the hips over to the left side of the mat, and come into your spinal twist. Left knee going right. Adjust those hips so your tailbone's basically perpendicular to the floor, and then pick up your right upper back and shoulder, moving it out to the right. Let's take a few breaths here. So rotations are really excellent counterposes to back bends. Forward folds are also good, but sometimes if we do a lot of forward folding after we do back bending, we kind of erase the effects of the back bend. And I'm not sure that we want to do that because we just sort of bought this wonderful openness in the front body. Do we want to erase those effects? So when we do a rotation, we get to wring out those muscles that did all the work, but we also can stay nice and open in the front of the body. So then coming back, square off the hips. You can extend the legs down. And let's take a moment to return to that breath. If your neck is sort of arching and your chin is tipping up, you can tuck your blanket underneath your head here. You may put one hand on your heart space or keep the hands at your side in a traditional corpse pose. And we'll just let ourselves return to that breath cycle for a couple minutes. You can allow the eyes to close. Exhale, soften your face muscles. Now let's start breathing in for about a count of 4 and out for about a count of 6. Acknowledging the heart, which your heartbeat might be slightly raised from doing some back bends. And then coming into that feeling of upliftment again. So whatever joyful feeling you can easily engender, bringing that right in now. A couple more deep breaths. And I'm going to encourage you to enjoy laying here as long as it feels good and right for you. I'm going to remind you to kindly please give this video a like after you're done today, and feel free to share it with anyone who you think would be benefiting from this instruction. You can subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. I appreciate you spending your time with me. Thank you so much. Namaste.